want to talk next about the real estate stats in Tampa Bay. And this is, data kind of leads a lot of people why they want a cash offer or why they're concerned about the market. The July stats just came out. They come out typically about the middle of the month following for STAR. And STAR is the Suncoast Tampa Association of Realtors, which is, kind of the combining of all of our counties. The average sale price in Tampa was $472,610. To put it into perspective, last month, the average sale price was $487,000, a more than 3% drop in the average sale price. Now, a lot of years, there is a June to July drop in the average sale price. That's not that uncommon. It's relatively normal. This is a little bit larger than normal because July starts the end of the peak season. People are getting back in school and all that. A lot of people want to move before that. So our peak prices are typically seen May and June. This is when we typically see them. Prices $472 last July, $480. So again, off a couple percentage points from last year. When you add inflation involved in that, we are definitely seeing depreciation in our average price points. Now, there are some neighborhoods doing better than others. There are flooded homes pulling that down, of course. But the further we get away from Milton and Helene and don't have more hurricane impact, the less impact they have on prices. So we're still seeing depreciation in Tampa Bay. Like I said, a couple percentage points from July. July 2 years ago, so July 23, $478,840. So we're also off from then. So if you factor in a couple percentage points off in price over the last couple of years, and inflation, back in July of 2022, we were $478. So today, again, lower than that. So we've seen depreciation plus inflation of a few percentage points plus higher rates. So again, our market has some pressures that are causing prices to soften, is making it a great buying opportunity. We had 4,344 sales in July. Compare that to 4,917 last year. About a 12% dip, and then 4,762 in 23, 4,729 in 22. We were in the 6,000 range back in 21, kind of, peak bidding war season. So since, annually, we continue to see fewer home sales. So fewer home sales, lower prices, great buying opportunity. That's why I think we're building up to 26 and 27 being really healthy real estate markets. But when I talk about these statistics, I want you to understand when I hear people saying, oh, the real estate market's crashing, it's not really crashing. It's trending down, but like kind of just a little bit. Like when it was crashing back, during the Great Recession, I sold real estate then. We were seeing prices drop, average prices going from like 220 to 180 in a month. Okay, this is like slight. This is relatively negligible drops, but when factored in with inflation, it is a considerable impact on affordability. So we are seeing fewer home sales. We are seeing lower prices. The average home is taking about 70 days to sell, and we have 4.9 months of inventory, a relatively balanced market. If you were to look at these statistics historically and weed out the great run-up of COVID, okay, when everything was record-breaking, interest rates were so cheap, we were seeing 7,000 home sales in the marketplace. Prices were rising like crazy. If you weed that little period out, our market's pretty normal. The problem is that it gets compared to the most recent period of time when we had these sensational 101, 102, 103% to list to sell price ratios, everything selling for a bidding war in days and less than a month of inventory. Okay. So of course, when you compare to that, our market doesn't look as healthy. But if I look historically over my 20-year real estate career, our real estate market right now is relatively balanced. It's not some crazy buyer's market that a lot of people would have you believe. It was a crazy buyer's market in the Great Recession. We were seeing 18 plus months of inventory, foreclosures everywhere. We're seeing a one-off foreclosure here and there. Okay. We've certainly seen an increase in inventory, but it's been relatively stable. We went from, like I said, in 21, we were less than a month. It went to 2, it's gone to 3, it's gone to 4, it's gone to 5. It hit a high of 6 months of inventory at the end of last year, but it's been around 4.5 to 5 most of this year. That's a balanced real estate market. So is it in favor of the buyer? Yes. But 97% list to sell price ratio, again, I was back working in the market when we were seeing 91. Okay. We were seeing stuff massively off of asking price. Just not the place we're in today. It's a stable real estate market. Do I think there's a lot of upside coming? Yes. Do I think a lot of the last year of our market not being as healthy as it could is related to Hilton and Moline? Or, yeah. Hilton and Malene. I can't even say them. It's Helene and Milton. Man, I'm so traumatized. Helene and Milton have certainly had a major impact on our statistics for the last year. I think these stats would look a lot better if it weren't for the hangover from the hurricanes. I think we'd probably be in a similar place with price. But that has drug the prices down. It's drug people moving. It's drug it down. Population growth, all those things probably have just as much of an impact as the overall economic conditions and high rates. So those are the stats for this month. That's kind of my take on it. I believe that we are headed towards a real estate market that will see improvements in sales, but it's probably more like 26 and 27. We may see a little uptick at the end of this year if we get some Fed rate cuts. But I think 26 and 27, potentially with property tax relief, could really drive our real estate market back in an upward direction. Inflation gets under control, rates get softened. We could be singing a completely different tune in 26 and 27.